Welcome to today's History of the Upper Ohio Valley, brought to you as a public service by ESV Teleproductions. We will address issues and concerns of residents in this area. The opinions expressed are solely those of the host and the guest. I'm your host, Bob Connors. This week, our featured guest will be Belmont County Common Pleas Court Judge Frank Fregato and retired veteran and American Legion Sergeant at Arms Betty Isaak Perkins. Judge Fregato will discuss issues related to the drug crisis in the Ohio Valley. Betty will be discussing the national anthem and why it is important for our children to respect it. Our guest is Belmont County Common Pleas Court Judge Frank Fregato. He is a 5% graduate, in the top 5% graduate of Ohio State University Law School, where he served as an editor on Law Journal and received his BA. Frank achieved Phi Beta Kappa and political science honors. While serving as the Northern County Court Judge, Judge Fregato created a live high school court, the only program of its kind in the country where actual court was conducted before the students. He is extremely active in the community and charitable affairs. He is a pasta waiter with the Sons of Italy and is a certified personal trainer with the American Council of Exercise. In his spare time, if he has any, he publishes a classic car column, Quarter Mile with the Judge, in an international car magazines, The Legend and Smoke Signals. Welcome, Judge Fregato.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Well, we hope that we'll be able to go over some interesting things about the opioid problem that we're facing here. I wanted to go over a couple of things that I found before we start talking to give our viewers a little bit of an idea of the problem and how big it is nationwide. I'm bringing some information in from the Ohio State website about what's happening in the state of Ohio with carfentanil and other drugs. Ohio's opioid epidemic continued to evolve through 2016 to stronger drugs, driving an increase in unintentional overdose deaths. The data shows a significant increase in overdose deaths involving opioid fentanyl, the emergence of more powerful fentanyl-related drugs like carfentanil, and indications that cocaine was used with fentanyl and other opiates. Illegally produced fentanyl can be hundreds of times stronger than heroin, and carfentanil can be, related drugs, can be even stronger. Carfentanil is basically elephant tranquilizer. It is extremely dangerous. In 2016, the unintentional drug overdoses caused the deaths of 4,050 Ohio residents. That's a 32.8% increase compared to the previous year of 2015, where there were 3,050 overdose deaths. So this is not a minor problem, and of course when these things happen, it falls into the court sooner or later that we're going to have to deal with it. So I wanted to start with asking you to give us just a little bit of a background on what's going on in the courts in Belmont County with this opioid problem.
Well, I think, as you know, and as your viewers know, your Belmont County Common Pleas Judge basically handles major criminal cases, rape, murder, burglary, things of that nature, and huge civil cases, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. There is an optional obligation, not required by the courts, that I undertake, and that's called a drug court. All right? And in the drug court, for someone to be eligible for drug court treatment, it's got to be a felony of the 4th or 5th degree, meaning a lower level felony. It's got to be non-violent, and drugs has got to have played a major part of the problem. All right? And go ahead.
Go ahead. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the easy way out.
Okay, well, a lot of people think
what that is.
Well, a lot of people may think getting into drug court's an easy way out, okay? It quite frankly is not. It's the exact opposite. I mean, drug court is a grueling, long-term boot camp program. I've got a list of the things that one's got to undertake once one gets into drug court. And by the way, the opioid crisis, as you point out, is huge, not only here in Ohio and the Ohio Valley specifically, but all the way across the United States. But anyway, once in the drug court, one's required to attend individual counseling, attend group counseling, attend Alcoholics Anonymous, attend Narcotics Anonymous, call Crossroads Counseling every single morning for random drug and alcohol screenings, appear in court every 2 weeks for an intensive review in front of me, and I assure you that ain't fun, all right? Undertake community service, attend meetings with the probation officer, become financially responsible for court costs and supervisory fees, and be subject to monitoring by the probation officers at home and in the community, and become fully employed. So it's a holistic program. It's meant to change your entire life.
Yeah. Now, are those one after the other, those different programs, are all the same time?
All at the same time. So
Oh, wow.
it is a grueling program, and the length of it is a minimum of 1 year.
Oh.
And it could be as long as 3 years. And then after you complete the 1 to 3 year program, one's required to have a review for 6 months after that, what's called an aftercare program that you follow up on.
Wow.
I mean, it is honestly a grueling program, and the great thing about it is for those people that are successful, you save lives, you get rid of the addiction, you, to the extent one can ever get rid of an addiction, okay? You save families, you save children, you save parents, you save employment, you save taxes, you reduce crime. It's an amazing package.
That is.
I mean, quite frankly, it is. And you know, I'm giving you the positive side. I'll give you
Yeah.
the negative side in a second.
Yeah,
okay?
I was going to go there.
All right. There's always a negative
I'll
side
wait.
to everything. All right. I mean, the positive side is fantastic. Okay, it truly is. And it's a long-term grueling program, like I said. And I think everyone in the Ohio Valley is starting to realize that drug court ain't a fun, easy way out. Like I said, it's a tough, grueling program. I mean, it's sort of like a boot camp program, to be quite blunt about it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Before
Yeah.
we're through, I'm going to ask you to give us that again for our viewers.
All right, does that
So
list
that
you
they can
mean?
remember that whole program.
If
how the whole
you
thing
want me to
works.
do that, I can.
Yeah, we'll do that before we leave, before we finish.
All right, however you want to do it. All right. Now, if once someone's in drug court, I explain to them, or actually I explained to them before they're accepted into drug court. Once you're in drug court, you've got 3 basic choices: success, which is fantastic; incarceration in jail or penitentiary; or death. That's the 3 choices. I mean, it's got to be pretty blunt.
Yeah.
And like I said, the program is a wonderful program. It's working for many individuals. We're having huge successes. But guess what? We're also having huge failures. It doesn't work for everyone. It just quite frankly doesn't. I think everyone in drug court understands mentally what one's got to do.
Right.
But to be successful in drug court, one has to buy into the program in one's heart, gut, and soul, and fully understand what it's all about.
Right.
Now, setbacks occur for everybody. We understand that. But there's swift sanctions when that does occur. We can do jail. We do 6 months of the OCC sometimes if the violation is bad enough. Community service for smaller violations. We do a bunch of miscellaneous things. And if the problems are most severe, we do terminate people from drug court. I will not let drug court, anybody make a mockery of drug court. The program is
Yeah.
too important to the individuals, too important to our community here in the Ohio Valley for anyone to make a mockery. So if someone has not bought in to the concepts after a period of time, they basically get terminated from the program.
How do you determine if they've actually bought in?
Well, it's almost impossible to fully determine that, okay, because you can't read into someone's heart, okay? But by constant violations, okay? If someone is constantly violating the program, turning positive for their urine screens, their blood screens, or whatever, then you know they haven't bought into the program.
Yeah.
If you've been in the program a year, 2 years, and you're still coming up positive all the time on different things, it's just not working for that individual.
You know, is there any incarcerated period prior to starting the program where
Yeah.
they can't get near anything?
Sometimes there is, sometimes there not, depending upon the individual situation. Everyone's unique, and we treat every single case as a unique case. Sometimes we've sent them to, right when they get into drug court, before they go through the programming that I've already discussed, they may have to go to EOCC for 6 months before the drug court program actually starts. for training for periods of time without drugs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So we do work with those individuals, and like I said, we do have a lot of successes. We do, I'm blunt about it. I'm not pulling any punches. We do have a lot of failures. There would be nothing that I'll get a call tonight or tomorrow morning and say one of my individuals in drug court died. I mean, this is serious stuff.
Well, is that happening a lot where people die that are starting into the program or
Not enough, but not a lot, but enough that it's a problem and it's a concern. And then also, once you're out of drug court, I mean, it's a problem. It's a focus you've got to have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, becoming addicted, it's not a simple matter in terms of resolving. And that's why you have a lot of successes, but you also have a lot of failures. What we have done in the Ohio Valley is I've gotten together with a lot of classy car guys and car gals in the Ohio Valley. And we have determined that it is much better to seek prevention than to seek a cure. And by that, in every high school in Belmont County, and I didn't start this, it's a fantastic program though, in every high school in Belmont County, there's what's called a Staying Clean Club, where it's like a drug-free program.
Right.
And that once those kids go in that program, they have rewards for success, and they're constantly being drug and alcohol tested and things of that nature.
what age do you start these kids in that particular programming?
Well, the drug-free programs are for the high schools, all right? Now, I and the car guys and gals who've gotten together believe that that's not soon enough, okay? We believe, and this is going to sound shocking at first, we believe some type of training of this nature has got to start in first grade or second grade or at least by third grade. The concept being, if you're so inundated, so saturated with the drug-free concept, when you're a little kid, by the time you get to 7th grade or 8th grade, it won't even be a decision that you make. You won't even, it's just something so distasteful, something so foreign, something so rejectable to you that it's not even, you don't even have to make a decision, yes or no. It's like, no, it's not an issue with you.
Yeah, I suspect that will be where your greatest success is.
We think, quite frankly, you hear through the news and everything about what are we going to do in America with this opioid crisis. Quite frankly, I believe, and the car guys and gals of the Ohio Valley believe, that's what we've got to do. Now, it's a long-term fix, all right? So we're not going to know if we're successful for 10 or 20 or 30 years, all right? But in terms of resolving the issue long-term, I believe that that's the answer, okay? And if you get this program going into the grade schools, we believe that should be a long-term success. Now, what we did on September, I think it was the 16th, it was last Saturday, we had a car show at the Ohio Valley Mall. We were hoping, it was the first one for this purpose, and that's to bring the drug-free positive concepts from the high schools into the grade schools. And we were hoping to have at least 30, 35, maybe 40 cars. We had approximately 240 cars. We had the community came out in strong force. Usually at a car show, you don't have kids or teenagers there. We were flooded with kids and teenagers. It was a wonderful experience. We were jam-packed. We had hundreds more cars than expected, hundreds more viewers than expected. And I think the concept is what brought them around. And the Ohio Valley Mall could not have been more cooperative, I might add.
That's really good.
They were wonderful with us. They were wonderful with us.
Yeah, I was there, and I can tell you did an excellent job.
I don't know whether I did an excellent job or not, but I had, and believe me, and when I say this, I'm not being coy or anything, I had tons of help. Tons of help in every area that you could think of. And we netted over $22,000.
Wow.
That is huge. Next Wednesday, we're going to be presenting that to the clubs and to the juvenile court. And we, the car guys and gals, don't want to be micromanaging anything about these drug-free clubs, but we want to make certain that money is effectively used by bringing the drug-free concept into the grade schools. Again, we think it'd be very effective if you went down to the first, second, or third grade.
Oh, I think I'm completely convinced of that. That's where you're going to have to go to stop it before it starts.
I think so. I think you will have much better success with prevention than you will with cure. Because like I said, the cure is working for many, it's failing for many others. So if we prevent it to start with, you don't even get into the issue of cure.
That really is, I think, the key, is the prevention has got to be first, because pulling these people off of this is very difficult. The program you're talking about sounds fantastic, actually. What better thing can you do than put them through all those programs and get them away from it and letting them know you care about them?
Yeah, and like I said, it's a holistic program. It's about the whole person, everything about their lives. Of course, the primary thing is get off the drugs, but
Right.
that doesn't solve their life problems if you don't get them employed, if you don't get them set up where they get up in the morning, they go to work, they come home, things of that nature. We have hefty curfews. They got to be home by 8 o'clock at night. I mean, it's like I said, it's a pretty grueling program.
It probably needs to be.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of failures, what kind of failures do you have? Say, is there a percentage that you're getting 50% of them? Or
We have tried to monitor that. It's very difficult to make that determination. I would say, in terms of the program itself, the failures during the program itself are less than 50%, meaning we have a lot of great success. But I don't consider it successful, or myself or the program successful, if you succeed in getting someone through the program, and then 1 year later, they're back to doing heroin or whatever, burglarizing their neighbor or their cousin's house or something. That's not success to me, that's failure.
yeah. How long has this program been in place?
The drug court program itself at the Common Pleas Court of Belmont County has been in effect for several years. Okay, the program itself, the concept itself predates me there, okay? I have changed it substantially, though.
You made it more difficult, I hope.
I've made it, I believe, much more difficult, okay? But I believe that's what you've got to do. You've got to make it grueling. If you make it an easy program, you're not addressing the problems.
Right.
And we've got to address the core problems.
Yeah,
Who they live with, who
yeah.
their girlfriend is, who their boyfriend is. I, of course, don't want to get involved in that too much, but it doesn't do any good to get someone off of drugs, then they go back dating the gal or guy they were dating who's a drug addict.
Right. Go right back to it. Is there a demographic that's
No.
consistent, or is it wide across the
No,
board?
no. You have whites, you have blacks, you have conservatives, you got liberals, you got non-political people, you've got rich, you've got poor, you've got everything. The only thing that I could comment upon is there's not too many elderly people. That's because they've already died from the drugs. Okay,
Right.
to be blunt about it. All right.
Yeah.
So most of the people in the program are young. Okay, in their 20s,
20s?
30s,
And that's
maybe.
probably the majority of them, and there's no demographic, and within that, it's just a mix. And
It's a mix.
Just
It's a
anybody.
mix. Educated, well-educated, poorly educated, non-educated, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
that's,
And they're addicted for different reasons. As many different factors there are in terms of their life, there's also many different reasons for the addiction. Was it because of did they get addicted because of a high school sports injury? Or was it because, they were just
hanging with the wrong people.
or choosing to do what they wanted to do, yes.
That is pretty fascinating. What about the future? What do you see coming down the road with treatment and?
Well, like I said, we're going to continue with drug court. We're learning from every single case that we have. We vary things when we have to, but we are going to push and focus very, very strenuously on the prevention issue. Again, we're going to turn that $22,000 in the $300 or something over to the programmers next Wednesday afternoon, I think it is, and then we're going to follow up and see how that's working. We're planning on having another car show next September. It'd be around the same date, and we're going to continue to do this. We've raised the awareness in the Ohio Valley, I think, big time. The car show itself, again, was 10 times more successful than I ever dreamed it was going to be.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. I mean, it really was.
I mean, the entire community came out.
Yeah.
If you were surprised, you could imagine how surprised I was when we were thinking we were going to have 25, 30, 35 cars, and we had 240, give or take.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And,
Yeah.
and all of those people who brought the cars are now invested in this too.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
And do understand, we had a ton of major sponsors who are not classic car folks, guys and gals. A lot of businesses, a lot of professionals who have given unto their money, big time to help us through this.
Well, that's really excellent. What else do you have that I haven't asked you about? Is there anything in the back of your mind you'd like to add? Because I'm going to ask you to repeat that program so that all of our viewers understand what goes through, what they would go through if they get into this program.
Well, and I will repeat that, but I want to make sure everybody does understand that once in this program, if you're accepted into this program, it's voluntary on the judge's part to have this program. It is voluntary on the defendant's part to go into the program too.
And you don't have to let them in.
I do not have to let them in. If they've got, for example, if someone wants to come into the program and I see they've got a history of all kind of assaults and, they are a career criminal.
Right.
Drug court's not the problem here.
Right, right.
So, but anyway,
That
you wanted
makes
me to
sense.
repeat that list?
Yeah, that part, I think people at home would really appreciate understanding what's in that program, and hearing it once might not be enough. I mean, I like to hear it twice.
All right.
I'm slow.
I'll go through that list. Attend individual counseling. Attend group counseling. Attend Alcoholics Anonymous. Attend Narcotics Anonymous. Call Crossroads Counseling every morning for random drug and alcohol screenings. And if someone doesn't call or anything, you can figure out why they're not calling. All right?
Do they go in for screening there, or every day? Or
There's a thing called their color, and they're orange or red or whatever, and if their color is selected randomly that
They go.
morning, they've got like an hour or something, I don't know what the time frame is, to get to Crossroads location to be tested.
That's good.
So they never know when they're going to be tested, quite frankly. 6, appear in court every 2 weeks for an intensive review. I undertake the reviews. 7, undertake community service. We do a lot of community service. Attend meetings with a probation officer. 9, become financially responsible for court costs and supervisory fees. 10, be subject to monitoring by the probation officers at home and in the community. And 11, become employed. Now, do understand, when I order someone to become employed, they could come back to me and say, I submitted 36 applications. I can't get a job. It's not my fault. Now, that may be true. That may not be true. So what I've done is I've adopted a program called the 20-30-40 program. And that means, okay, this week you can't get a job, keep trying. But next week, you're going to do 20 hours of community service. If you don't have a job by then, the next week 30, the next week 40, and thereafter 40. My point is, you're going to work. You're going to work for free, or you're going to work for pay. I know it's a coincidence, but when you institute this, it's amazing how quickly many of them can get jobs. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
It must be a coincidence.
Yes, it is. But then they become employed, and that's important.
It is.
Because a lot of these guys and gals don't have the concept of the alarm rings, you get up, you shower, shave, or whatever, you go to work, and you come home at night. Many of those don't have that concept because they were not raised in that conceptual framework.
Yeah. That's a difficult bridge to cross.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. So I
But
commend you.
unless you mold them completely, you may solve the drug problem today and tomorrow for him or her, but not for next week, next month, and next year. And this is meant to be a life-changing experience.
I think it's a really good program. I really do. It sounds really exciting.
We're pleased with it, but our eyes are wide open. We know it doesn't work for everyone. That's why we are focusing on the prevention too.
Yeah, well, that's pretty amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just glad I had the opportunity to meet with you.
Well, listen, it's been our pleasure. We loved having you, and I hope you'll come back again and keep us up to date with what's going on here.
Sure. And I appreciate you coming to the car show too.
Hey, Judge,
Thank you very much,
buddy.
Good to see you.
Thank you, and we'll be back in just a minute. I do have a video that we want to show you, 2017 Belmont County Schools Staying Clean Car Show that our guest was talking about. So we'll roll that, and we'll be back in a minute. Today's history of the Upper Ohio Valley. I think we're ready to start with the new guest here, retired veteran, American Legion Sergeant at Arms, Betty Isaak Perkins. Did I get that right?
Isaac.
Isaak Perkins. And Betty is a really great lady here. I'm so pleased that you came in here to join us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
You have seen all of the hubbub about the NFL and the national anthem, as the rest of us had. A big uproar about it. And we know it's important. And you're the one who pointed out to me how important it is in our schools
Yes, sir.
that kids understand this, right?
Yes, sir.
So I was wondering, what brought that to your mind? How did that come to your awareness that this is important for our schools too? What happened?
Well, I used to drive for St. Clairsville School Bus Garage, and when I would go to the game, I would notice that our kids would not come out for the national anthem or the flag, raising of the flag. So I brought it to the attention of the athletic director, and they say, oh, they need all that extra time to, get the plays before the game starts. Well, I thought that was kind of a poor excuse. So I am with the American Legion and here in St. Clairsville, and we raised the flag. And I felt that we shouldn't raise the flag if these boys could not come out. They're great boys, and they have no control what goes on with the schools. It is whoever's running, the Board of Education or the coach or whoever. But they would not come out for that, so I asked the athletic director again, why are those boys not out? And he said it's a tradition for the last 12 years that they did not have to come out for the flag.
So for 12 years, the schools are not having these children in our schools come out and respect the flag before the game and the national anthem.
That's correct.
Go ahead, continue. I had to just ask that. Man, that's really hard to believe.
Yeah, so I just started going around. I talked to the Legion. I talked to We the People, and I had gotten a letter wrote up for the letter of an editor, but President Larry Barnes from the American Legion decided to talk to the schools. And through that, they were able to do some kind of some kind of agreement to have the boys come out. Plus, I know a couple of the boys on the team that are captains that decided to say something at their meeting that they should be out there.
Oh,
So
that's good.
they kind of pushed it too.
That is really good. I'm impressed that you noticed that, Betty, and said something about it. Because too many times in our everyday life, people forget what's going on around them, don't think about the kids and all that sort of thing. And I thought it was really important that you did that. But I noticed you discovered that it wasn't just that school.
Yes, sir.
What more did you discover about that?
Well, there's 9 schools. They call them the Buckeye 9, and they are in Belmont County, and they all are in the same boat as St. Clairsville, that they did not have to come out for the national anthem or the flag. So I'm very proud of St. Clairsville, and I appreciate Superintendent Skaggs to taking the opportunity and making our boys come out. So now it is Buckeye 8. And I know just some of the schools is Harrison Central, Buckeye Local, Martins Ferry, and I'm trying to still find out what the other schools are, because I had refused to go to any of the games because of that.
Because of that, huh? And so you're now looking at other high schools to find out how many are having their kids come out before the game and stand for the pledge and the national anthem.
Yep, and the raising of the flag. And I'm hoping St. Clairsville is an example, and the other schools will follow suit.
Yeah. What would you advise parents out there who are learning for the first time or just becoming aware of this at their high school, that their team isn't coming out for the national anthem?
It's amazing how many people didn't realize that their team wasn't out there. I don't know what they're looking at, but
Yeah.
maybe just paying attention to the song and singing and the flag, that they don't even realize the football team isn't even out there.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes, because I talked to some parents and they've all flipped out. so they were going to make calls. So
That's
I'm
good.
sure there was a lot of parents that helped out too.
So they could be calling the schools, parents who are listening and saying, hey,
Yes.
we these kids out here. You're kind of disrespecting the flag
Yes, absolutely.
And-
And the military and, of course, our country.
and the military. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does the flag mean to you?
Well,
That's a hard question.
It
Because
is.
it means different things to
It-
different people.
to me, I take it to heart because I did 28 years in the military.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. And just the national anthem and the flag pays respect to people who have risked their lives, been injured, or died defending our country. But to me, it expresses my appreciation for this country, even though it is imperfect. You know, no country is perfect, but ours is pretty darn close, you know?
Yeah.
It shows respect for the military personnel who have sacrificed their life for my freedom. It demonstrates a unity as a country. It honors a positive tradition handed down from our forefathers, and it enhances my opportunity to influence others about my position instead of alienating them. You know, and I just really get upset with the schools because schools should be held accountable in teaching our children what is right instead of changing history of our country. This is one of the reasons why our children have no respect or knowledge on our country, Constitution, or why America is so great. And I just feel that people need to go to the board, need to go to the superintendent, need to just get out there and say something. Because we have a lot of military that have come home wrapped in that flag, you know,
Right.
because they have died for our freedoms, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's, I share your views, as you know.
Mhm.
And I just wondered about, when you think about this, the schools not encouraging our children to learn about the national anthem and the pledge by having them do that.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you? What does that tell you?
It tells us that we're losing what our country really stands for, and the Constitution, and just everything that's what's great about America, you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay if the Muslims have their prayer, but our children can't go and have their little prayer to God and pledge
Right.
allegiance and stuff. So, you know, for one thing, God getting out of the school is one of the reasons we have major issues, and then it should be followed with the knowledge of our country and why we are here and how we got started.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with that. Do you have any other thoughts on the anthem?
I do. It's just, for me, every time I sing it, I get goosebumps and tears in my eyes, and maybe because it means so much to me. But when I sing the national anthem, I'm expressing gratitude for the privilege of living in a uniquely blessed nation. I visit a number of foreign countries, and while there in much to learn from every culture, I've not found any place I would rather live than the United States of America. Every nation is imperfect, but America is far ahead of whatever one is in second place. God has uniquely blessed the land of the free and home of the brave. And all I can say is shame on you for all these schools for not standing up for the national anthem, because it's very offensive to our nation and our military for your disrespect to our great country.
That is excellent, Betty. I have to agree with every word of it.
Yes.
And I'm sometimes shocked at what our schools are doing. And you know, we're called by God to pass along to our children morals and the right way to live their life.
Yes.
And part of that is to respect this great nation that gives us so many freedoms. And somehow we have educated teachers who don't understand that.
Mm-hmm. Or they're forced to teach it because they need a paycheck, and they may not believe in it.
Now, that could be true, too.
Because I've run across some teachers that they love the kids, but they hate what they're teaching.
And some of them are good teachers and
Very
do
good.
the right thing, but too many of them do not do the right thing.
That's right.
I think that's an unfortunate thing for both of us. I don't want to belabor this, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything else you'd like to add to what we're talking about here in the national anthem and why kids should know about it?
just very important because there's guys over there now sacrificing their life. And one or two of them, sad to say, will come back wrapped in that beautiful flag for your freedom to talk and to just have the freedom to walk around and go to the mall and the movies and whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I think that's true. You know, when the beginning of a football game, for me, why this is important, when both teams come out and they're on the field, one on that side and one on this side, they're opposing each other and they're going to go into battle to win the game. And that moment, when we have the national anthem, that's a unifying moment for both teams. We're all Americans. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, where you come from, or how poor you are, how wealthy you are. You're on that team. The people have filled the stadium, and we're all Americans about to engage in an American sport. And to lose that, I think is just really sad. So I am so grateful that you took your time to step into something and take care of business, and you were very successful. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us, Betty. This has been a fabulous moment here,
Yes.
and we'll maybe have you back again sometime in the future.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's our visit with Betty. And before we leave, though, since we're talking about the Star Spangled Banner, I thought that maybe we should just play it so we can show our respect for it.
Hey kids, y'all stay over there. Don't get in the way.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does their star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Fantastic job with the national anthem. We wanted to play that with respect for the national anthem and our flag, and we're grateful for Betty coming in and sharing her experience with us and the great job she did with getting to high school. I thought I'd take just a minute before we end with the national anthem. Born on August 1st, 1779, Frederick County, Maryland, Francis Scott Key became a lawyer who witnessed the British attack on Fort McHenry during the War of 1812. The fort withstood the day-long assault, inspiring Key to write a poem that would become the future United States national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. He was so taken by the massive victory that he took to pen and wrote what he saw, because that particular moment really was the moment that America sent a message around the world that we are a power to be reckoned with, and no one is coming to take our country away from us. Now, the uproar that we're seeing right now in the football, with people dropping to their knee as a means of disrespecting the flag and the national anthem in the name of political correctness, is an assault on freedom. This is not freedom of speech as they claim. They have a freedom of speech, that is true. But when you invite people to pay a lot of money to come and see a football game, and then when you get a captive audience, plus the captive audience at home watching from television, who are tuned in to watch a football game, and you turn it into a political correct rally, using your team and your fellow teammates to blemish the police department and our military, that's an insult to everybody in this country. These athletes are multi-millionaires. They're rock stars. They can go anywhere they want and draw a crowd. They can have the freedom to speak on national television anytime they like. Any network would be glad to have them anytime to speak what's on their mind. But to pull this stunt at a football game with the national anthem playing is really an insult to every fan and every American. The aim of these NFL owners is to disrespect the police by publicly protesting the treatment of criminals who happen to be black. Now, yes, sometimes the police have to take heavy means because they have a heavy problem in front of them. But there's no evidence that black men are any more targeted than white men. It's not about race. The police are not racist. They are trying to do their job. And as far as the activities we see with the NFL and the football, here's some things that you should know. The fact is, these football players are among the best paid people in the United States and can exercise their freedom of speech louder and in more places than most people on the earth. They go to work in a uniform that represents the team and the owners. They are on the owner's payroll when they do these protests. This would infer that the owners approve of this disrespect of our flag and our national anthem. Don't think for a minute that they don't understand what's going on. They did not become billionaires by being stupid. They know how a dollar is made, and they probably think this somehow was going to work for them. I think not. This disrespect is pointed at the American people, and they're pointing it at police officers who are being branded as racist. This is a very dangerous thing, and as we all know, many black police officers have been shot by black men by assassination attempts. And they're coming from people like these football players who are lying to the American public that black men are being abused. That's not true. Black men are committing too many crimes, and they become involved with police too often. It also happens to white men. But you don't see the white side of it out blaming the police and trying to get out from under their responsibility for their crimes. That makes it even more difficult for police to do their job. How's a policeman going to go to pick up a suspect who's a black man if the black man believes that this policeman is coming to kill him? You see a problem here? The black man is going to be frightened and may do something foolish and get something going that doesn't have to happen. Maybe they need to learn that when an officer comes along, you listen to what that officer says, you say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and follow directions. If you have fault with them, you can take it up in court, but not fighting in the streets or pulling guns out. When we learn that we are all Americans and that this race baiting is the wrong thing to do, if you love football, maybe setting out a few games might be the way to save this game, which is to play football, not to protest. We'll see you next week. I'm Bob Connors.